This is a photograph that I shot on a fine morning in an area of Tokyo called Asagaya. This place is kind of boring. Well, not really, but there just isn't much there. It's just a residential area, nothing more. However, you know me, I like to shoot in residential areas and try to capture the beauty in the mundane, and so on a good weather Sunday morning I took the train to go visit this area with my camera and try to capture what a quiet Sunday morning can look like in Asagaya. Like last time, I had simply gotten out of bed and left the house immediately, so I decided to have a 7-Eleven breakfast again, which means for me, black coffee and a meron pan.
I can be a shadow on the street. I can make the same movements on repeat.
After that, I got out the camera and was ready to begin. To start off, you know that I like a simple warm-up shot, and I was liking the scene that was literally right in front of me, and so that's what I started with. While this is only a warm-up shot, I actually quite like it. I enjoy the slight busyness of the image with the taxis and the people walking by and the train on top. Shot number 1. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know this already, but in case you're new here and you're curious about my setup, I'm shooting with my trusty old Lumix GX80 with the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 lens. This was my first ever camera that I started out with back in 2017. I still really like it, and so I just keep using it when I want to shoot digital. Then I came to one of these semi-indoor shopping streets that are very common in Japanese cities, and I was hoping to find a nice subject in that beam of light. Here's the result, and I'm quite fond of this. Despite the shops being closed because this was early morning, the street feels alive thanks to the people wandering around. I'm so happy to have captured this main subject. I like the hat and the little fluffy companion, which just makes it more interesting, I find. By the way, if you like the look of my photos from the Lumix GX80, I want to let you know that I do have presets available on my Patreon, where I release a new Lightroom preset every month. I'll be exporting the overall look I went for in this video as a preset for this month, in case you like it. You'll find a link in the description.
Hacia la felicidad, como una luz fugaz.
Here I came to a parking area where I spotted that white wall, which I think is just a cover for a construction site. However, I saw some potential there for a composition. I just had to wait a bit for someone to enter my frame. This is the result, and I like this a lot. I think you get now what I was seeing. I was thinking that the white wall could act as a subframe for a subject that passes by in the scene. It's like a white canvas that was just waiting to be painted, and I think this worked out wonderfully. I'm also really happy with the subject itself. This person with a cool hat riding a bicycle is simply more interesting, I think, than someone simply walking while staring into their phone, for example. Drawn to the spot of light that was shining onto the park and the back of the bus. The photograph, however, didn't turn out all that interesting, I find. I think that's because it lacks a clearer subject or composition. It just feels a bit aimless for me. Okay, I got a few.
sure there's a way. The water's so still, and my pain's gone away. Air is much cleaner after it rains.
Here, I was trying to use the lorry as a subframe. I'm not too sure about this. It works, but I don't really know whether I actually like it after all.
That building's cute, with the shades of the trees. Let's see.
Here, I was again drawn to the light and the way it highlighted this building on the other side of the road. I decided to wait for a subject to enter the frame. Here's the result, and I like it. I love how the shade pictures the shape of the trees that create it. The leaves on the wall are simply pretty, and with the subject passing through the light, I think this photograph is pretty decent. Then, while looking for the next photograph, I briefly want to show you something cool. At least, I think it's cool. As you know, I'm quite the fan of this little camera, the Lumix GX80, despite its age. And quite often, I get asked where the best place is to buy this camera, and I think I've found a decent place. This is MPB, an online platform for used photography and videography equipment. If you're looking to buy gear, MPB has a huge selection of used gear that deserves a second life. This is more sustainable and cheaper than buying new. And so when they reached out to me to sponsor a video, I thought this is the perfect match, because guess which camera they also sell? The good old Lumix GX80. I even found the camera for less than 400 euros on their site. If you like some peace of mind when buying used gear, MPB is great because the gear is inspected by professionals and comes with a 6-month warranty when you buy it. By the way, MPB is not only for buying cameras but also for selling cameras, so if you have a camera to sell and you don't want to go through the hassle of doing everything by yourself, you can sell your camera with MPB. You can check out MPB via the link in the description. Thank you so much to MPB for supporting me in my work and sponsoring this video.
Cute scene.
Here, I had left the main road and began to venture deeper into the residential area. I was heading to a big park that I had found on Google Maps while researching. I was on my way there with my eyes open for any more shots. This is just a bit of an appreciation shot for these pots, I suppose. Here, I was going for a play with shapes and lines to photograph this cute wall with the plants and the Japanese roof. I like it. This was a bit of an impulsive shot with not that much thought put into it. I just saw a clear subject that was decorating this pretty street, which makes a scene for me that I want to capture, and seeing as I'm shooting digital, I can be a bit more trigger happy with my shots. This is something I just generally noticed myself doing on this morning. After that recent shoot in Nakano, which I showed you last week, I felt like I was shooting a few things a little too repetitively. I sometimes didn't shoot the little things, which are simple visual notes. I seemed to have neglected the small photographs for the more elaborate wider shots, so on this morning I felt like focusing a little more on the small visual notes too, seeing as I'm using my digital camera and can shoot much more freely. This here is a prime example of the visual note type of photos that I'm talking about. I'm not sure whether I would have shot this on film because it doesn't seem worth it. But with the Lumix, I got it anyways, and now looking at it, I really like it.
Just another visual note.
So for next time when shooting film, I want to remember that I shouldn't restrict myself too tightly and also shoot the little details like this. Then here I had arrived at the park, or at least part of it. As far as I saw on the maps, it's a long park that simply follows this river, and so I decided to follow the river too. So that was the first part of the park. I think I got some decent shots, but nothing really special yet either.
Coisas chegam quando passam. Se o que aconteceu de errado, veja bem pelo outro lado. É o que faz você agora.
Here I was taking a little detour through some residential streets before returning to the park. I love that backlight on the plant on the right.
Pois é, o tempo de Deus não tem razão.
I really like this one. It's a fun play of shapes and light and colour with the yellow doors and the architecture that builds a bunch of lines. For me, it feels like another one of those shots which my eyes can just wander around in for some time.
Seu assovio é tão lindo, é o canto do perdão.
Would you look at that light?
Here, I was coming close to the last spot I wanted to check out, but I got distracted by a faint sound of a larger group of people. It sounded like there was a sports match going on somewhere nearby, so I tried to follow the sound.
ここ買って入っていいんですか？はい。ありがとうございます。
Turns out there's a local baseball match going on here, which is something I've never shot, so I was quite excited to get a couple shots here. This one turned out quite nice, I find. I like the simplicity.
すいません。
After getting a couple shots of the game, I was trying to shoot some photographs of the crowd. The photos turned out alright, but also not really special or anything, I find. I think the most interesting photos remain to be those of the game. I can't explain why, but the crowd photos just aren't that interesting. Maybe because I couldn't find more interesting compositions, or the lighting wasn't that interesting.
写真撮っていいですか？あ、はい。少々お待ちください。かっこいいです。ありがとうございます。頑張ってください。
Then I also got 2 shots of these guys, which I like, but sadly the lighting is pretty terrible. Then, here I found my last stop. I was looking for this shrine, and here it was. I was surprised how lively it was. There seemed to be some event going on with a bunch of people wearing some sort of uniform. As far as I could tell, these people were practicing archery. With the shrine checked out, I felt like I had completed what I wanted to do on this morning. I did shoot one more photo of the pretty trees here, which I think turned out quite nicely. But with that done, I made my way back to a station to head back home, before the summer heat reaches its peak around noon. This was another really fun shoot with a couple of nice surprises such as the baseball match. I hope you enjoyed tagging along again. I look forward to sharing more shoots in the coming weeks. Before saying goodbye, I would like to say thank you to the lovely people supporting me in my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, tutorials and stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. Also, I have a print shop, by the way, in case that is of interest to you, also link in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.